Coming up, we are all in for a huge treat today. Our VIP guest will take us back down memory lane for sure. There's Falcons Crest, there's Murphy Brown, and the lovely Dallas. Come on, y'all, welcome to the chat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the chat. I'm Catalina Allures. We have Henny, Angelia, and Julie all joining the panel, but you might recognize right off the top, we're being joined today by actress Morgan Fairchild. Welcome.
Morgan Fairchild.
Unbelievable. So Morgan is here in town performing in the Dixie Swim Club at the Alhambra Dinner Theater, going on now through September 24th. So Morgan, tell us a little bit about the show. Give us some details.
Well, it's really fun. It's something I think all of you would identify with. It's 5 ladies that were on the swim team together in college, and they get together every year at a cottage on the Outer Banks for a long weekend just to stay in touch. And so you see them first at age 44, and then at 49, and then at 54, and then at 77. Wow. And all the changes that happen over their lives and keeping the friendship together. And so it's very cute. It's very funny. And I've had a few guys come and saying, I didn't want to come see this because my wife, tricked through. Yeah. And then they say, I laughed more than she did.
Is that it? The swimsuit, the change in swimsuits over the years?
No swimsuits. We're all a bit long in the tooth for the swimsuits.
Are there any menopause phases with these ladies?
We don't really talk about that,
I do all the time, girl. I'm going through the change right now.
Are you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But what about your character in the show? Because in every friends group, there's like a stereotype in each one. There's the funny one, there's the maternal one,
the sexual one.
Yeah, right. So
I'm the sexual one.
Are you really?
I'm the man crazy one that's always on the lookout for a new husband, and loves getting everything lifted, tucked, new hair, new body, new face,
Those
new
are the
everything
funniest.
all the time. And she's just obviously very insecure with a lot of daddy issues.
Right. Is that who you are, like in your friends group, or you're the one who's like the man eater?
No, I'm always the solid, boring one that makes sure everybody else gets home on time.
But that friend is needed. I'm sometimes that friend in my group, not always.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
So what do you think of Jacksonville? You've had to transition from home to here for a little while, so you're here for a couple of months for the show. So what do you think of Jacksonville so far?
Well, I really like it. I actually played this same theater in 1973.
Wow.
I did 4 shows there in 73, and I have very fond memories of Jacksonville. Jacksonville was very kind to me. I'd just gotten divorced, like in February. Came down here in March to do a show, and they kept asking me to stay. And I stayed most of the year. Finally thought, if I'm going to be a New York actor, I got to go back to New York. I went back, and 6 weeks later, I got Search for Tomorrow. So, but it was a transition thing coming out of the divorce, and I had just changed my name to Morgan Fairchild. So this was the first place I worked as Morgan Fairchild.
Wow. Some history here.
Yeah, after working under my married name for a while. First I'd worked under my maiden name, then my married name, because I started when I was 10. So, suddenly if you're going to just do the whole thing and if you're an actor, if you change your name, you have to send out new bios, new resumes, new pictures, there's everything. It costs a fortune to reprint everything. So I just thought, instead of going back to my maiden name, I'm just going to become the person I always wanted to be. And I picked my name and I went with it, and this was the first place I landed with it. And they were terribly kind, and they kept hiring me. And I would drive down to St. Augustine a lot. I loved St. Augustine. The town was very kind to me, and I always appreciated it.
Oh, that's such a sweet memory.
Very nice.
And every morning we would get up and go watch the Watergate hearings. That's how long ago it was.
Oh, wow. So you've been in this business since you were 10 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So is there a role that you love to play? You maybe could do it again, or something that you never would do again?
Well, I love playing Racine on Paper Dolls. That was my shortest lived series, but my favorite. The writing was great. It was a very dark sense of humor that they kind of wrote to me after we did the pilot, and it was my favorite, and it was all about the fashion industry and everything, and I was playing sort of Eileen Ford run amok, so, big agent. So I could still go back and play that. I keep trying to talk Lynn Goldberg into doing that. Let's bring it back.
But he's left, right, and center now.
Yeah, so he's busy with Blue Bloods. So.
Wow. So if you were not acting, what would you be doing?
Well, I wanted to be a paleontologist or a doctor, so I'd probably be off in the Gobi Desert dusting off dinosaur bones or something, or East Africa, Rift Valley looking for pre-human. So it's, but I've kept up all my interest on that. I was like the earliest AIDS activist in Hollywood because one of my hobbies, because of my interest in science, was emerging viruses and epidemiology. And so I'd been following this odd new virus for a long time before Rock Hudson got sick. So suddenly everybody was very interested in it, and I had this odd hobby. So I became the only celebrity, certainly, that could go on Nightline and explain what a retrovirus is and how it works and how you do and don't get it, and became the go-to girl for Nightline. The first town hall Nightline ever did was 5 hours with a bunch of congressmen and doctors and me talking about AIDS.
Wow.
So,
And what a benefit that was to, to everyone, because you were such a recognizable face and such a trusted public figure that, I mean, definitely appreciated, especially
well, and I was a sex
generations
symbol,
later.
so it's not like, your Aunt Matilda telling you got to
Exactly.
change your behavior or any of this stuff. I was a sex symbol saying you got to be careful, got to look out. And also, a lot of lobbying for funding for AIDS research and things like that. So
You've had a very colorful career, I would say. It's been great. It's been fabulous. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a second. The streets are talking, And I hear there's a little rumor about you used to date Johnny Carson.
yeah.
Wow, is there anything you want to tell us, girl? Hey.
I never told the Inquirer, so I won't.
Well, you can't blame a sister for trying.
No, we almost got married. But,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I've just always been very discreet about who I date and who what I say to anybody. But I will say that he was really a brilliant, lovely, wonderful guy, a very, very nice guy. And I will tell you that I was out doing a tour of the graduates. This is probably 05, right around first of the year, 04 to 05. And I got a call from my answering service and said, "Oh, we have Johnny Carson on the line." And it had been, some time since we'd talked. And we chatted for a little bit. I was surprised to hear from him, and we chatted for a bit. And he was, what are you doing? I'm sailing and playing tennis and blah, blah, blah. And out of the blue, he just said, "You really loved me, didn't you?"
Oh my gosh, how
And
awesome.
I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "I knew it. I knew it."
No regrets, though,
Oh, that gives me chills.
about the way that ended?
Right?
Well, I had a feeling something was off. So I said to him, "Why don't we have lunch? Why don't we have lunch? Why don't we chat?" And he said, "I'll call you back, I'll call you." But he didn't. And then I was like in an airport changing planes for my tour when CNN called us, "See, can you come on the air and talk about Johnny passing?" So I think he was kind of winding up his life and making peace with some things, But he was a lovely, lovely man.
You've led the most amazing life.
Yes.
As an actress, as an activist, the coolest. This is probably one of,
Thank
and because as someone from the millennial generation who didn't get to enjoy the golden ages of you being on TV and in film, I mean, if you haven't
you can
seen
watch
Dallas,
right now, 'cause
yeah,
I'm on a
exactly.
lot right now.
Well, and that too, but all the stuff that you really blew up for. I mean, if you haven't seen Dallas, that's
Woo,
where drama
that
came from.
is, yes.
So go check out some Dallas.
Our
Thank you so
friends.
much for coming,
We're friends.
Morgan. So it was great. It was great.
Thank you.
All right, and you can
Thank
catch
you.
Morgan Fairchild starring in the Dixie Swim Club now through September 24th at the Alhambra Dinner Theater. For tickets and showtimes, visit alhambrajacks.com. And coming up next, the Charlottesville protest ripple effect now hitting ESPN, kind of unexpected. We're talking about the staffing change that's causing controversy. Next.